Hey everyone, this is the first episode of a small series of tutorials I will be making on how to use Box2D physics in GameMaker. I know I already have a lot of tutorials using the physics, but I was requested to go into more detail with some more things, so I'm going to do that. So in this series I will be taking you through things like moving platforms and platforms that fall when you land on them, plus a few more. I'll try and go into as much detail as I can and explain the functions as best I can, and hopefully it will all go smoothly. So yeah, to start off, just going to open GameMaker. Wait for it. So it's taking a little while. Okay. Alright, here we are. Okay, so I'm going to make a new file, and I'll just call it physics, I guess. That'll work. And just hit create. Now, you don't have to call it that. Call it whatever you want. Doesn't matter. Okay. So we'll start off with just setting up a basic physics world. So we're going to first do our objects, and then we'll do some sprites afterwards. Okay, so make a new object and call it something like object static parent. Now if you've watched my other tutorial, you'll know what I'm doing here. And these are for the collisions, and it also sorts out the static and dynamic objects. So make another one and call it object dynamic parent. In this one we're going to add two functions. So we're going to go collision with the static parent, and we're just going to write collision. Now putting 3 slashes there makes it like as the title of the function, so if you have a look in here you can see just here that it says collision, whereas if I go into that and take away one of those slashes, it just says execute a piece of code. So yeah, I'm gonna keep that slash in there. Okay. Oh, hang on a sec. And then we can just duplicate that event and set it for collision with the dynamic parent as well. And those are our collisions set up. Okay, so we'll be parenting all of our physics objects to one of those. Okay, so next we're going to make a floor. So we'll just go into this and go obj, call it wall. Okay, and just press OK on that, and we're going to need a sprite for that one, so we'll make a sprite. So new sprite and SPR wall, and I'm just going to make mine 32 by 32, but you can do yours bigger if you want, doesn't really matter. Okay, and mine's just going to be black square. Okay, I'm going to center that, and that's done. Okay, now we can put the sprite into the object and tick uses physics to enable the physics for it. We want the box collision shape, and make sure that's all good, which it is, so that's fine. And that's it. Oh, hang on. Density. We want to set that to 0 to make sure that it doesn't fall like with gravity, and then we also want to parent this to the static parent because it's a static object. Okay. Then I'm going to make a crate kind of thing, so I'll make a new sprite first and just call it SPR box edit sprite, and this one's going to be 32 by 32 as well. Just bring that up and zoom in a bit, and I'll just make a crate kind of thing, so that, so I'll colour that, and then I just put a bit of a cross in here. like so. Okay, send to that one as well. And for this we can just duplicate the wall, so just right click it and go duplicate, call it obj box or whatever else you might want to call it, and change the sprite. Now that should be fine, which it is. And we're going to change the parent to object dynamic parent, and that's fine for that as well. Okay, now we're ready to make our room, so we'll go new room. Just maximize that. Okay, now first thing I want to do is go into the physics tab of the room properties and tick room is physics world, and I'm going to set my gravity up to about 60. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to extend my room width out to 800. Just like that. Okay, and now we can start adding in objects. So start off by adding in a wall object and just make it ground. Damn it. Okay, there's the ground. And now we can put in our box, and this is just to test out the physics. What I do is I lower the grid to about 8, so that way you can put them around more freely, so like that. And that will test out a physics. So I'm just going to quickly run this, make sure that's set to Windows, and hit play. Oh. And as you can see, something not right with that. So, okay, here's the physics world, and the box does have physics parented. Oh, there's a problem. Forgot to set that back to 0.5. Okay, so if you did what I did and duplicated object wall for your box, you want to set the density back to 0.5 to make it fall with gravity. Sorry about that. Alright, so we'll recompile that. And there we go. So we've got working physics now. So that's good. Now I'm going to jump straight into moving platforms. So we've got boxes, that's fine, and now we want moving platforms. So what I do to make them is I use markers to set the boundaries of them. So you might want them to be able to go through walls. So using markers allows them to go through walls or not to, depending on where you set them. Okay, so make a new sprite and just call it SPR marker or whatever else I'm calling my marker. And again, this is going to be 32 by 32. And I'm just going to color it red, but I'm going to lower the opacity so it's see-through, just like that. Okay, and I'm going to center that, and that's fine. Alright, now we want object marker, so new object, obj marker, and give it the sprite, but untick visible, so we do not want it to be visible. Okay, and now we can make some platforms, so I'm just going to go SPR platform horror for horizontal, and this one can be 64 by 32, so we'll just extend the length of it. Okay, now I'm going to do this do a greyish colour, so oh, forgot to change the opacity back. Okay, that'll do. That's my platform, and I'm going to center that one as well. And now we want to make the object for our platform, so go new object, go obj platform, and give it your sprite. Just shorten this a bit. Okay, now we want this to use physics. We don't want it to have a density, and set it to cinematic. Okay, and we want the box collision shape. So just like that. Now I can't remember exactly what it said in the manual for cinematic objects, but from memory it's a bit like a static object, which just has the density is 0 and doesn't move. But cinematic objects, like, they don't have collision forces or gravity forces applied to them. You simply like apply speeds to them, and then they can still move around, but they just don't have forces applied to them. So that's just from memory. Might not be exactly right. Anyway, we're gonna set that as dynamic parent, and then we can add a bit of code in there. Okay, so first thing we want to do is make a create event, and I should really make this smaller. Okay. Now it kind of fits. That'll do. Okay, so first thing, create event, and add in a little code block, and I should make this one smaller too, so just shrink that down, move that up a bit, and there we go. Okay, first one, we're going to make a speed variable, so spd equals, I'm going to make mine 8, you can make yours whatever you want, don't make it too fast or it's not going to work all that well. And we want a direction variable, so I'll just write dir equals 0. Actually, I'll go choose 0 or 1. That way it will be set as random direction. So yeah, the choose function basically chooses from the values you set in the argument. So 0 is one option and 1 is another. So direction is either going to use 0 or 1. I don't get to pick which one, it does that automatically. So it's pretty much just a good way of making something random. Okay. Now I'll go into a step event and we'll start giving it movement. Okay, so yeah, step event and add in a code block. Now we are going to check the direction, so if dir equals 0, so for mine I'm going to make direction 0 left, it doesn't really matter, so it can be right if you want as well. Alright, if direction equals left, then we want phy speed, so phy speed x to equal spd, and because we're going left it needs to be minus spd, and that's right. And then if direction equals 1, then we want phy speed x to equal spd, and that one is right. Okay, so that's going to set our movement, but we want it to turn around if it hits the object marker. So we're going to write if instance exists object marker. Probably use a collision event for this as well, but I'm going to do it this way just because I can. If instance exists, then var I equals instance nearest, so the closest one, so we want x, y, object marker. Okay. Then if place meeting x, y, I, then we want to first set an alarm for 0 and set it to say half a second, so room speed divided by 2. And then we want, actually, yep. Alright, so then we want direction to equal not direction. So that will reverse it. So if it's 0, it'll equal 1. If it's 1, it'll equal 0. Okay, there's another check we need to add in here though. So if instance exists object marker, before any of that, we want to go if can change, I guess, or can rev for reverse. If can rev equals true, then do all of this stuff. Now, I know we haven't set that variable yet, we're going to go back and do that. So just tab all this out to the right place. Okay, so we'll tick that off and now go into the alarm event and write can rev equals true. And then forgetting something in here, if all this is true, then we want can rev to equal false. Okay, and then in here, set can rev to true. Okay, so can rev stands for can reverse, so at first you can reverse the direction, so easy enough. Okay, now in here, if you can reverse the direction, then continue on checking this. Right, so if object marker is somewhere in the room, then find the nearest one, so var I equals instance nearest, and then set the ID to the variable I. Okay, then if place meeting x, y, and I, so if we're touching the closest marker, then set alarm 0 to room speed divided by 2, which is half a second. Set can reverse to false, and then set the direction to not direction, so just reverse it. Okay, so up here we've got our direction handling, so if direction equals 0, move left, if direction equals 1, move right. So it's just setting speeds to the PHY speed x and PHY speed x there. Okay, now PHY speed x, that is, from memory, it's the amount of pixels per step. So I set mine to 8, so it will be moving 8 pixels per step. Now, I am going to raise my frame rate, so you can get rid of that object and go into settings and set the room speed to 60. Now, the higher the update speed on the physics, the better the physics will be. So let's say you had a circle spinning really fast, but you were only running at 30 frames per second, or the room speed was only 30. Now, the rotation and speed is actually limited by the room speed or update speed. With the update speed, you can set it separately to the room speed. So say I went into object platform, now I can go in here and go physics world update speed, like that. And then in there you write the update speed that you want. Now by default it goes to the same as the room speed. It cannot be lower than the room speed, but it can be higher. So if you still only wanted to have your game running at 30 frames per second, or 30 steps per second, let's just stop saying frames, then you could do that but have the update speed higher. So the higher the update speed, the better the physics accuracy will be. Okay, so we've got all these. I'm going to put that one there, and we can add in our markers now. It should all work. So, one there and one there. Now those are going to reverse our object. Actually, I'll just do this, just to make them a little more accurate. Okay, so as I said, those markers are going to help us reverse the platform, and I'll just put the platform there. Okay, now hopefully it'll work when we run it. No guarantees though. Okay. Okay, so I've made it move a little fast, but as you can see, it does work. So I'm going to slow that down a bit. I'll just go something like 2, I think. Oh, I'll go 1. Okay, another thing you can do with the platforms, because it's a moving platform, chances are you're going to want to have something on it. So, because the box friction is low, if we raise the friction on this, the box will grip to it more, and it'll be able to stay on there properly. So at the moment 0.2. I'm going to raise mine to something like 10. It still might not be enough, but it should be a bit of an improvement. So we'll just see what happens. So just compile it, and there we are. So the box moves around on that fine, and yeah. Okay, that'll do for this tutorial. Hope you enjoyed it, maybe learnt something, and yeah, just wait for the second episode. Should be up pretty soon. Alright, thanks for watching. Oh, another thing. I'll put the link in the description. I've set up a Facebook page for my little, well, it's not really a company, but my thingy, NT Games. Yeah, that's the same as the YouTube channel name. Yeah, I've set up a Facebook page, so if you could like that, that'd be pretty great as well. So yeah, like this video, please. Like the page, please. And if you want more videos, subscribe. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for watching.